Hi there, and welcome to your lesson on measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency are what you commonly know as the mean, the median, and the mode. What they basically mean is they are measuring where the central portion of the data is. So what I'd like you to do is think back to grade 8 if you can remember and complete this activity. It says 10 employees at Mulac Muffins had the following salaries. There are all the salaries. Determine the mean, the median, and mode salary. See if you can remember how to do that from grade 8 using this little poem. Hey diddle diddle, the median's the middle. You add and divide for the mean. The mode is the one you see most often, and the range is the difference between. So we're not going to be doing range today, but mean, median, and mode. Pause the video, calculate the mean, median, mode of these values. So pause the video and try that, and then press play to check your answer. Okay, welcome back. So to find the median, you had to remember to put your values into ascending order and then take the middle value. Since there's 10 values, you're in between the 5th and the 6th number. So in between 17 and 18 is 17.5K or $17,500. To find the mean, you add up all the numbers and you divide by how many there are. So when you add them all up and divide by 10, because there's 10 numbers, you get 31.8 thousand. The mode, in this case, there is no mode because none of the values occur more often than any of the other values. So that's the way you did mean, median, mode in grade 8. A couple things that you'll need to know for grade 12 is to start with the symbol for mean is an X with a bar on top. So whenever you're calculating the mean, you should start with an X with a bar on top. The next thing for the median, what some of you often do with the median is you'll just sort of like scratch one from the bottom, scratch one from the top, scratch one from the next, scratch the top, keep scratching one from the bottom, one from the top until you narrow it down to the middle. That can get to be a lot of work if you have a lot of values. So one shortcut that you can use to find the median is you calculate what is called the mth number. To find the mth number, you take the number of data, add 1, and divide by 2. So n is the number of data, so n is equal to 10. And when we add 1 and divide it by 2, that is equal to 5.5. So that means the median is in between the 5th and 6th value. So if you start counting up, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's the 5th, there's the 6th, and the median is in the middle of there. So the median is equal to the average of 17 and 18. So you don't have to do it this way, but this can save you from doing the scratch one from the bottom, scratch one from the top, and then keep narrowing yourself down until you get to the middle. If this worked out to exactly 5, then the median would be the 5th value. If you get a decimal here, it means your median is in between two values. This type of question that you would have done in grade 8 deals with data that is called unweighted, which just basically means there's no mode, none of the values occurs more than any other. When you get into different questions in grade 12, you'll have data that is weighted or is more complicated to use. So if you were to describe the average salary, because average can mean mean, median, and mode. These are all averages. Normally you think of the mean as being the average, but these are all different types of averages. So which average do you think best represents these values? Do you think you would want to say that the average salary was 17.5 thousand? Would you want to say that the average salary was 31.8 thousand? There is no mode. So do you think the mean or the median better represents these values? Hopefully you can see that the median better represents the middle of these values, because if you use 31.8, there's only two numbers that are higher than 31.8. So using the median in this case would better represent the data, and that is because you have these two very high numbers, which are called outliers. So in this case, the median represents the data the best because there is no mode, and the outliers pull the mean up too high. So depending on the question, it might be better to use the mean, the median, or the mode. So just to summarize, many people think that the mean means the same thing as the average. It doesn't. While the word average does tend to be used interchangeably for mean, its definition is a number that typifies a set of numbers of which it is a function. Basically, in other words, the average can be the mean, the median, or the mode, whichever value you feel best typifies the data. On the next page, pause the video, take a minute and read over this terminology, and then press play again on the video. Alright, hopefully you've read over the terminology. So some measures are more appropriate than others. If the data has extreme values such as outliers that do not appear to be representative of the information, then the mean is not appropriate because it may be misleading. Just like in that example, you don't want people thinking that the average salary was 31.8 thousand when only two people made more than that value. In this case, the median might be more representative of the average. If all the values aren't that dissimilar, then the mean could easily be used. If the information suggests that the frequency of the data is important, then the mode should be used. So for instance, if you're looking at the average shoe size, you really want to know which shoe size occurs most frequently. So what we're going to do now is get into some questions that you would see in grade 12. So starting with weighted data. This data is called weighted because some of the data occurs more than others. So to determine the mean, median, and mode, please start with putting this data into ascending order. So press pause, put the data into ascending order, and then press play again. Okay, now that that's been done, to start with the mean, this is the formula you have for mean. So remember that your symbol is an X with a bar on top. And what you're going to do is you're going to add up all the data and divide by how many pieces of data there are. So we're going to start with 1 plus 3 plus. Now instead of writing 5 plus 5 plus 5, what you can do is take the frequency, which is the F, and multiply it by the data value, which is X. So rather than writing 5 plus 5 plus 5, we can write 3 times 5 plus 7 plus, there are 4 tens, and then a 15, a 16, and an 18, and divide it by the number of pieces of data, which is 13. When you do this calculation, you get approximately 8.8. So that's your approximately equal to sign. To find the median, we want to find the mth position. So remember, you take the number of pieces of data, add 1, divide it by 2. So there are 13 pieces of data, plus 1 divided by 2 is 14 divided by 2, which is 7. That means that the median is the 7th number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Your median is 10. Again, that just saves you from taking 1 from the bottom, 1 from the top, 1 from the bottom, 1 from the top, and narrowing it down to the middle. Lastly, your mode. The one that occurs most often is 10 because it occurs 4 times and no other piece of data occurs more than 4 times. So that's what you do with weighted data, is you can use the frequency to multiply with the data value rather than writing the data value out, in this case 3 times and in this case 4 times. The next example shows data that is taken from a stem and leaf plot. With this stem and leaf plot, the number in front of the vertical line is the tens digit, and all of the numbers on the right of the vertical line are the ones digits. So your data is 3, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 17, 23, 28, 30, 37, 39, 39. So pause the video, take a moment, and find the mean, the median, and the mode of this data. When you're finished, come back to the video. Okay, welcome back. So the mean, you should get approximately 20.3. If you looked at the mth position for the median, it should be the 7th number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7th number is 17. Make sure your numbers have been put into ascending order. And the mode is 39 because that's the number that occurs most often. Your next example deals with aggregate data. With aggregate data, it means your data has been put into a table with your data values being the first column or first row, depending on the way the table goes, and your frequencies being the second column or second row. What this means is there is 1 7, there are 2 7.5s, there are 7 8s, there are 4 8.5s, and there are 6 9s. So to find the mean, so you've got 1 7, so you can just write 7, and then you're going to add 2 7.5s. So again, instead of doing 7.5 plus 7.5, you're going to do 2 times 7.5. There are 7 8s. There are 4 8.5s. And there are 6 9s. Now, to find out the number of pieces of data, the number of pieces of data is the same as the sum of all the frequencies. So that there means the sum. So if we were to add all of these frequencies, you would get 20. That means there are 20 pieces of data. So we're almost out of time on this video, so we're going to stop here. Please ensure that you play part 2 of this video. Don't stop here, don't stop the fun. Play part 2 of the video when you are done. Thank you.